Welcome, welcome, welcome to another lovely episode of the PN48 podcast. It is your host, PN48 here, and I am actually so thrilled for today's episode. I think it is a necessary conversation for us to dive a little deeper into today, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get into today's episode, number 48, I would love to introduce my lovely husband and co-host, Mr. P.
Hello, PN48. How are you, my dear?
Good. I feel like I have all this energy this morning. I don't know what's going on.
I can tell. I can feel it. It feels good.
We are.
Good positive vibes.
It is. Yes. We are live on OnlyFans right now, and we are also live on a Twitter Spaces.
Twitter
Spaces. Diving into Twitter a little bit more. So that's been fun.
They can hear us live. Yes.
So welcome and hello, everyone joining us for the podcast. And if you're listening right now, thank you so much for listening. Today's episode, I received a message after the episode where you and I discussed like relationships and how we're kind of open, and that leads us to not really kind of stray like we typically would maybe in a previous relationship that we were in. And so I'm just going to read this message. This is from someone on Reddit. He said, "Hi, PN48. I love y'all's content, and I just started binging the podcast. I just wanted to reach out and tell you that Mr. P's comment about non-monogamy hit me in an extremely profound way. I've had several failed relationships, likely because we were never open and comfortable enough to have a conversation about non-monogamy. I've always felt suppressed, and as a result, my libido takes a nosedive. For a lot of men, the thrill is in the hunt. Like he said, since y'all had that conversation, he hadn't been with anyone else. And I think that's the part that hit me. I'm not seeking multiple partners. I'm seeking the hunt, so to speak. Anyways, that was long-winded, but thank you for talking about things that are considered too taboo for most, but needs to be really heard by masses. I'm literally discovering things about myself listening to y'all talk about your experiences and ideologies. Really well done, and please keep it up." So, first off, that was such a considerate messages. I really like, you get the typical copy and paste. I'm this. So it's really nice to like get a genuine, that was like a 4-paragraph message. So yes. I really appreciate that message first off. And that you also took the time to write me about that. I love hearing about the podcast in general. So that was nice as well to get some feedback. And I could not agree more. And I think you were actually sitting next to me when I read that message originally. And we were like, oh, we need to do another podcast on this because it's just such an important topic that I don't even think people understand like the actual like psychologic behind it. And I think we're kind of great at understanding that because we're kind of the same person in that sense. And so, I just want to dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so first, yes, thank you for that message and at the PN48. The psychology behind it, I'm not sure I understand either. It's
tricky.
One of those, it is tricky, but it's counterintuitive, right, to me. Because, I know the way I was prior to you. Prior to us being together, prior to you starting PN48, prior to Mr. P-Nectar existing. And then I know how I am now. We've discussed this before in my previous relationships. I was not a faithful person. I was with people that wanted a monogamous relationship that kind of had interest in, maybe playing with others, maybe. But it was not really anything that was communicated. So, the foundation of everything is within communication.
Yeah.
And being able to effectively communicate. And since we've been together, and of course, PN48 and Mr. P-Nectar, there have been a lot of conversations between us and the things that we want, the things that we're interested in. And so, us having a relationship which is technically non-monogamous, yet it's like we haven't really been with many other people at all outside of our relationship.
Crazy is
right?
that?
We've had 2 threesomes up to this point.
Yeah.
One with one other dude, MMF, as some people say, and then one with another chick, Lil Kate, who's hot as fuck.
Friend Kate,
FFM, as some people say, or whatever, MFF. And so like, the thing for me is I'm now much more, I don't know. I don't know if it's like I'm just so like occupied and happy with our relationship that I just like have no desire to, or if it's like I'm so immersed in like, you know, Panty Nectar and Mr. P Nectar that like I get to experience like every day. Like, this is our life. This is what we get to do. I get to be Mr. P Nectar every fucking day, and I love it. Right? Like, who gets to have sex and talk about sex and have people write them and comment and talk to them on Discord or wherever it is, and ask me questions or tell me that, you know, that, hey, you said this and it really, you know, had a profound impact on me in some way, or you said this and I think you're wrong and here's why. I appreciate them all equally, you know, but nonetheless, it's like, I'm not out here, you know, going around and cheating on you,
right?
Like I was before, like
right.
In my previous relationship. So it is interesting that many people are feeling this way. I
think there's a lot of like, I think I resonate with that guy, the Reddit message, a lot because like the hunt, he's talking about the hunt. So I want to dive into that a little bit more because I think that's like the most interesting part. I think a lot of people like, they this is maybe an issue in some relationships, and maybe you're listening and you're like, no, that's not at all. But from my take, I think a lot of like significant others may get jealous and mad because they think like their partner wants to be out cheating and wants to be out talking to these other people. And it's like, part of the time, like it really is just that satisfaction of knowing that someone wants you in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And like, it's not really like you're saying, before us, your Tinder matches, maybe like 50% you'd actually hook up with, and the other 50% you're like, oh, I got it in the bag. So like, I'm not interested in that anymore because I know I can have it. I just think there's a lot behind that whole like hunted thing. Like, right. I want to feel hunted, right. and you like that thrill of like talking as well. And like, I don't know, like it doesn't lead up to sex all the time. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Is that hunt just of being wanted?
I think so. I think that is very interesting. And we did discuss this when you read that message a few days ago to me, because I brought that up. I was like, man, that's so interesting. He said, talking about the hunt, you know, I was like, I can so resonate with him as well, because that's what it was for me. Like when I was single, you know, I had a Tinder and a Bumble. Like I've tried every dating app, right? But to me, like those are like the two that are worth a fuck.
Right.
And so I had a Tinder, Bumble, and like I was active on those, and like not looking for a relationship at all. You know, like if one came, cool, you know, but like most people on Tinder and Bumble, they're just trying to hook up, which, hey, that's cool. So like my Tinder and Bumble matches, I would like those that I would agree to meet up with, like, hey, like even like some were just like straight hookups. Like, right. Hey, come over to my house tonight. You know, after a short communication with them, like, okay, like we're looking for the same thing. Okay, come over to my house at this time, or I'll go over to yours at this time. And like, I would straight fucking ghost.
Like, I can see that.
Hard,
I can totally
right? Like,
see you doing that.
It like that is such an asshole move too on my part to do this to those people, right? Like in hindsight, like that's such a dick move. Like I should have just been able to tell them like, no, I'm not interested, you know. Right. But like for me, it was that for most of those people, I did not meet up with.
Right.
It was because I already felt like I had the cat was in the bag.
Yeah.
You know, like. Wait, that doesn't make sense. The cat's out. What is it?
The cat's out of the bag, right? Yeah. Technically.
No, but it was in the bag, you know, like.
Well, and it's like that thrill isn't that like adrenaline isn't there anymore when it's like, you know, the person's just gonna say yes every time.
Versus like meeting a chick online and like on Bumble and like her like not giving off the I'm gonna fuck you tonight vibes right away. And it's like, oh, I have to kind of work for this. So like I do need to like go out and have drinks with this chick, or I do need to meet up with her for coffee in the morning like she wants to do. It's like it makes it much more interesting. So like he's saying that it is the hunt.
Right.
And like the hunt is a psychological thing.
Right.
So like if the hunt has already been fulfilled, then well, that which follows thereafter, which is like the glory, which is the sex, isn't really that glorious anymore.
Right.
It's like Gary Vee talks about all the time, buying the New York Jets, right? And like for anybody that really listens to him, they know that like that's not his thing. It's not that like he's so passionate about buying the jet. He wants to see if he can do it.
Yeah.
It's about the journey to get there. And it's kind of the same thing here.
That is true. Yeah, I didn't even think of it like that. That is right. Yeah, I think like I can remember back when I used to go out like with my friends and all the time. And like the best thing about going out was like putting on a really hot outfit and knowing that like you're going to go to a bar and everyone's going to look at you because obviously work out, you look good, you present yourself well. And then like not going home with anyone. Like that's the best part. Like that's so mean to say, but that's like the best part, being able to tease everyone all night long and then be like, okay, I'm going home, guys. See ya.
Yeah, see ya. You got those bar tabs, by the way,
but
right?
It's like exactly. Yeah, I never paid for a drink. But that's the thing to me is like I like to feel hunted. I like that feeling. You know what I mean?
It's in our DNA.
Yeah, that's why we post on Instagram. That's why we share our lives on. It's on everything. You know what I mean? That's why we do the things that we do. And that's just why I think it's like so important to have open communication about those things, and especially communication about boundaries, because we have some people in our lives that they're going through some things, and it's because they both have different boundaries and they haven't communicated that to each other. And if they have, then that's not being respected, and they're probably not the person for each other. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the conclusion that I would come to if you and I felt that way. So it all just goes back to communication, realistically.
Yeah, I think communication is always a key. It's like for anything, it's like Elon talked about, like transparency is the key to trust.
Right.
And when you're communicating with someone, you're being transparent with your feelings, with your emotions, with who you are, with what you want, with what you don't want, and everything else that you communicate about,
right.
And in relationships, like that transparency is like the utmost importance.
Right.
And that transparency, that communication is that transparency. But here's the thing. Like you must be communicating first. It's probably a multi-part issue in the sense that first you must communicate honestly with yourself, because if you're not doing that, like we were talking about this morning with the people you're discussing, like it's a self-awareness factor.
Yes.
First and foremost, like if you're not communicating honestly with yourself internally, if you're bullshitting yourself, well, you're going to be living in this bullshit perpetual spiral with whatever it is that you're dealing with
all the bullshit around you.
So that like that self-awareness is that honesty to yourself, that communication to yourself. That's like, okay, I need to work on this, and this. I need to cut this relationship, whatever it is. But then secondly, with your partner, at least, like then you have to express that communication honestly with your partner. And so, because, just because you're communicating doesn't mean you're being truthful or honest. You can communicate bullshit lies to somebody, which, many of us have for a long time in our lives, whether it be with ourselves or other people. So honesty is a huge part of that.
Yeah. And I think being able to communicate it properly, because I feel like anyone can talk. You and I, we can talk.
Yeah, I can sit here and bullshit on this podcast.
Yeah,
all day.
we can go back and forth,
fun.
back and forth, back and forth. But I think like there needs to be a lot of people act like their partner is the problem. You cheated on me.
Right.
Why did you do that to me?
Right.
That's how that conversation
ego.
Goes. Okay, so that leads me into, I think a way to approach things like that would be to look at it from an eagle eye point of view instead of my point of view, or vice. Like you and I both need to be looking from up here at the bigger picture, opposed to looking at it from my narrow vision of this is what's going on to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And once you have that bird's eye view, like, I think it takes away a lot of the judgment, a lot of all the underlying feelings that come with, like, my partner's attacking me right now.
Right.
Like, how can I be real and honest about how I feel when I'm already in a defensive manner because I feel like I'm being judged and attacked from my partner, opposed to being able to be like, hey, I saw that this was going on, and maybe you and I need to have a better conversation about kind of what you want and what I want, and we need to go from there.
Right.
Now you're at a way less, your senses are not up here of, oh shit, what am I going to say that's going to fucking tip this person off? You know, tread lightly, to, okay, I kind of could probably have some room to mess up if I mess up on how I speak, but that's okay. And let me try to communicate this properly. So I think, like, how you approach certain situations makes a big deal as well. And I think that goes for the guy as well. Like, you can't come to me and be like, this, and this, because I'm going to be like, who's this motherfucker? You know what I mean? And I think you would feel that way about me. So the way that you communicate that and dropping your ego and looking at it from that outside point of view, because here's the thing, like, if you love someone, if you truly, truly love someone, you love them unconditionally, regardless if you like their actions or not.
Right.
Period. There's no like, well, no, they hurt me, and okay, well, did what they do change anything about the way that you feel about that person? If it did, then you don't love them. But if you love them unconditionally. Right. And that's without terms, without anything. And so a lot of people strip that because of trauma response, or in virtue of your partner may feel a certain way. And I think it's so important to just, like, friendly fire all around. It's friendly fire, not enemy, you know. That's how I feel about that. Yeah,
and you say, you know, like, people need to, in those situations, drop your ego. Mm-hmm. And it made me think of Eckhart Tolle, which we've mentioned Eckhart Tolle before on the show. Eckhart Tolle is a New York Times bestselling author, and you know, he's sold millions of books, and he wrote two very powerful books that I know of. The Power of Now, and The New Earth. Those are the two that I've read. And he talks about the ego, not your ego. And the ego is one thing that the way that he breaks it down and the way that he analyzes it and discusses it was a turning point in my life, because it was the first time that, like, I ever had somebody break something down in a way that was palatable to me to digest, and to understand that, like, all of these problems that I've been dealing with in my life weren't my problems. They're just a fucking issue. You know, yet, like, we get so stuck and we get so tied down to our past and our history, when, like, our history, like, that doesn't exist.
Right.
Like, it does not exist. Like, your history does not fucking exist anymore. And all that there is now, right? Like, period, end of story. And somebody could say, well, no, you don't understand. History does exist. Okay, tell me how. Well, Mr. P, remember when we went fishing 2 years ago and we caught all those fish? Yeah, how many fish did we catch? Well, we caught 8 fish. Well, I only remember us catching 5. You know, like, our minds can, like, create things, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Now, of course, we know that there's fucking documented things that have happened in the past. And it's not to say that, like that there is not a history, because of course that there is. But when we're talking about the psychological history that our brains, that our mind automatically jumps to, that's what he's talking about.
And everyone remembers everything differently.
Exactly. So, like, and especially, like, when you're communicating with your partner, people see, or just in communication in general, you know, think of a student standing up and giving a presentation in front of a professor. You know, the student finishes the presentation and thinks, I fucking nailed it. And the professor's listening and thinks, you suck, here's a D. Well, those people, they saw and heard the exact same thing.
Right.
But they had two completely different interpretations of what it was.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot within relationships as well. real quick, one thing, no one ever listens to what I have to say anyways, but if anybody please would do one thing, it would be to listen to Eckhart Tolle's book, The New Earth, or A New Earth. I think it's The New Earth. And it is, you can get the audiobook. I've listened to it probably 50 times, literally. And it's just a great one just to have on repeat. And it's an incredible narrative on how to live a happier life.
Right. I think, that's that's an amazing book. Mr. P is right. If you have not listened to it, truly recommend listening to that book or reading it. But, we listened to the audiobook of it. It's a great book because it really does teach you that things are out of your control.
Panty Nectar, can I interrupt this show to grab your titties real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I feel like we're getting deep, and I'm just looking over here, looking at your boobs. I'm like, man, but you have this shirt on. I'm like, your fucking tits are nice and soft.
I have.
So I reached my hand under your top here.
I have Casey on OnlyFans. It's perfect timing.
What's up, Casey? You got on at the right time.
I just have a cute little red pajama set.
Real quick. Hold on.
Little pajama set on. And we're about to have sex. Great. Ooh. Oh my gosh, it's 10 degrees hotter in here again now. But no, I just agree with what you say. I think people don't even realize what ego is a lot of the times. I'm all out of whack now.
Did I interrupt you too soon before you?
No. Eckhart Tolle makes you just realize things are out of your control. You cannot control what other people do. You can only control yourself. And I think that once you learn that lesson in life, that's the greatest thing you can ever learn.
And it's funny, people maybe tune into this podcast for the first time and they see it on Spotify and they say, well, it says dirty sex talk. And it's they're listening, they're like, why are they talking about fucking ego? And it's because people contact us every single day with these comments, with these questions. And it's and then the thing is you realize that, wait a second, I have these same thoughts, these same, or maybe now, or maybe in the past, whatever it may be. And it's wait, we're all the same here. You know? So we're all dealing with the same earthly problems.
Yes.
And so if we can help out anybody in any way we can, we're going to. And if it's discussing things like these, we're going to let people know how we feel about it.
And you don't unlock your true sexual being, in my opinion, until you really dive into who you are.
Yeah. And
until you do all this digging, you don't really know who you are. Because people think that you and I just have great sex and that's what it is. And it's oh man, they're so wrong. You and I have done some work to get here. We have the personal development within ourselves, the development with each other. We have seriously put in some work to be where we're at. And I'm just very proud of us. And I'm proud that we get to be on a podcast and teach others and tell funny stories and have great sex on a platform where people like to listen.
Who would have thought? If my high school teachers could only see me now. If that major when I was getting out of the Marine Corps told me that I would never fucking amount to nothing, if that fucking dipshit, if I could only remember his name, that's how insignificant. It's so funny that things that stick with you in life. It's like that shit right there. I'll never forget it. I was getting out of the Marine Corps, and I remember I was so happy to get out, and I remember this major. I don't even remember his name. And somehow the conversation came up and he asked me, he's like, so you getting out or re-enlisted? And I told him I was getting out. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was, to paraphrase, it was basically oh, fucking good luck. You'll never amount to anything.
Piece of shit.
It's what? Wait a second. This is what, but the thing is that's what defines people. Mm-hmm. This guy thought, because at that time that he had a college degree and went to OCS and became an officer, and because I did not, and I was enlisted, that he thought that he could just fucking talk shit to somebody like that, and he did. And there was nothing that I could say, and I honestly didn't give a fuck because I was leaving anyways. But like the audacity that people have in that regard, it's like, where's your fucking humility, dude?
Right. Ego is what that also ties to. It's crazy.
And then you realize, like, then some of like the enlisted people, you know, or like some of like, there was this guy that I was with that I served with. He is in HMM 264 in Jacksonville, North Carolina, on New River Air Station there, and he was a corporal at the time. And this dude, I had worked with him for like a year. He was a crew chief on the CH-46, and he was a fucking mechanical engineer. And like none of us knew it. That he had, like, we didn't know that this guy had, because all of us, like, you know, most of us that go and enlist is like we're all kind of struggling, and that's why we're here, you know, we're like happy to be alive and, you know, change our lives and do good things. But this guy was like squared away. He was like in his late 20s, 27 or 28. And he had gone to school and like was an engineer, and then was like, oh, well, I want to be a Marine. And then he's like, fuck that. I don't want to be an officer though. I want to be a,
that's
like,
interesting.
I don't encourage people to do that, but it was interesting. And so, yeah, that stuck with me, that guy telling me that, because I was thinking, you're a fucking dick.
Yeah.
And first of all, like, I don't care what you think I will be, but what I know I will be is a fucking free man here in a few days, and I'll never have to ask anyone again if I can travel outside of fucking 45 miles outside of my home base or whatever it is. Like, every time you have to leave to sign a out of bounds shit or some shit. Like,
oh, geez.
Yeah, so
that's crazy. Ugh.
So
well,
be nice to people is what I'm saying.
Yeah, what is that saying
and the thing is you never know where people are going to end up.
Yeah.
You know?
What is that saying you always say, you never remember?
Oh, well, you never remember what people say. You remember how they made you feel.
You
it's just
remember
like this
how
guy.
they made you feel.
I don't remember his name. I don't remember what he said. I know how he made me feel. And
right.
It's fucking, it wasn't bad, but it just made me feel like you're a fucking dick. And this is going to stick with me as a type of motivation for me, and it did.
Right. Well, we hope
so
that...
now I stick my dick in pussy for a living, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed episode 48 with Panty Nectar and Mr. P, all about relationships. This one was a little more deep, I know. So if you have a recommendation for the next episode, please write me on any platform, Reddit, OnlyFans, Discord, Instagram, wherever you're at, Twitter. Write me what you would like to see next on the podcast. Mr. P and I think we want to get spicy here soon. Some spicy stuff. We've been throwing around some ideas. So I'm excited for that. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. I would truly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you again for listening, and until next time.
See ya.